welcome to the Schola Progenium. Today we've got a battle report for you that should be both cinematic and, it's a decent match play battle as well. So we've got some decent army lists for you. Classic opponents, the Blood Angels versus, I don't know if you can see that horde over there, but the Tyranids. So we're going for a little bit of a 40k / Starship Troopers feel here today. So I'll take you through the battlefield in a little bit. You can just kind of get a brief view of it there, but I'll take you through the Blood Angels list first. We'll crack straight on. We'll move on to the Tyranids list, and then we'll talk you through the background of the battle today. So, the Blood Angels list, first of all, we will go on to HQs. So we have, of course, Lord Mephiston. He is bringing 3 psychic powers, of course. He has the Wings of Sanguinius, he has the Quickening, and he has Unleash Rage. So he's dishing out all the attacks today. We then have, for a Smash Captain, we have Baron Harkonnen. He's going to be taking the lead today. The reason we've got Alexander Garviel, the other captain, sitting out is he's been doing a lot of work and he's been rolling a lot of wands to wound recently. And a lot of he's been rolling a bit unlucky. He's been getting tired. He's had a lot of battles. So I thought Baron Harkonnen, my original Smash Captain, can take the lead. The Red Baron. He is going to have the Warlord trait that I think it's something Foresight. Essentially makes him a 5-up Invuln instead of 6-up, because he is also Death Company for 1 CP, and he is holding the relic, the Hammer of Baal, which doesn't have a negative to hit, so he's hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. For now, obviously we've got some controversial changes coming up with the Marines, but that's what he's doing for now. He's dealing out reroll 1s to all the combat troops, which we'll get onto in a second. Then we have Lamartis, my little custom Lamartis here. And he's bringing a litany, which I can't remember off the top of my head now. I'll tell you when it comes to it in the battle. But he's there, just support the Death Company, dish out some rerolls, that kind of thing. Then we'll move on swiftly to the final character choice. He's not an HQ, but he is an elite, and that is my Sanguinary Ancient. Now he's bringing the banner that gives a 5-up Feel No Pain in a bubble around him, which has just become absolutely essential to this foot slogging list. Or it's not foot slogging entirely, but it's a legs list. Everyone's got legs in the list. So he's really good. And then we'll go on to the elites. So we have quite a chunk of elites here. Now starting off, we have 6 Sanguinary Guard. We have 3 Encarmine Swords, 3 Encarmine Axes, and they've all got Encarmine Angelus Bolters, for that 18-inch Assault 2, Strength 4, AP -1, which you've got, obviously, as you guys know, loads of stratagems that can be spent on these guys. They can be absolutely brutal. 6, they're expensive now, but 6 is enough to get the job done most of the time. Now, if you're fighting Tyranids, your army is just not complete without some Terminators. So I've gone for Tartarus Terminators, and I've given them all the tools. So the Sergeant has a Power Fist. They're all rocking Power Fists, so just for the badassery. And yes, they do have the Assault Cannon there. I think I can't remember what it's called. Not Avenger Assault Cannon, but either way, that bad boy, these guys are going to come in and fight and die back to back against the Tyranid Swarm. Just like, it's just classic fluff, isn't it, really? Then we have only 7 Death Company. I've had to trim the Death Company and the Sandguard just to fit those Termies in, but really wanted them in the battle today. So we've got 7 Death Company equipped with 3 Power Swords, 4 Chain Swords, and all with Bolters. So not as many Death Company as I'd like, and as Lewis has got his models up, not as many Death Company as I need as well. But we'll see how that helps out later on when they come in for reinforcements to reinforce the lines. In terms of other support units, we have in the heavy support option, we have 3 Eradicators, just 3, but they do a bit of work for you. We have 3 Outriders in the fast attack section. These guys do work. They are so Blood Angels, quickly becoming a mainstay of the Blood Angels force. Absolutely fantastic. Hold objectives, move around the battlefield, shoot stuff, chop stuff, anything you want. You can boil them, roast them, stick them in a stew, whatever you like. Then finally we'll go on to the troops. Save the best till last in many ways. So the troops are the cement that holds this whole army together. We start off with I've only got 4 on there, but 2 squads of 5 assault intercessors, as we know, just absolutely ridiculously good. So versatile, so useful for taking and holding ground, taking objectives, scoring points, and chopping stuff up when they need to, which is all the time. And then we also have 2 units of 5 standard intercessors, just with your normal intercessor bolt rifles, just there to spray off some fire, hold ground, and just do the grunt work of the battlefield. Whilst the guys in the golden armour get all the glory, these guys win the battle. So all in all, I think we're on 1998 of great vintage. So without much further ado, I think we'll get straight on to the Tyranids. So here we have a veritable horde of Tyranids. The bugs are out to play today. Mass infantry and big beasts, or everything you could hope for really when you go on a bug hunt. Now, Lewis, do you want to take us through in a bit more detail?
Yeah, so this list is 1,995 points of a Kraken battalion. The Warlord is this Broodlord here, who has the Psychic Power Paroxysm, and he has the, I believe it's the Adaptive Biology for his Warlord trait. Next you have the Tervagon, who is just standard. She's going to hopefully keep some small bugs up on the field. And the Hive Tyrant is my 3rd HQ, rocking Wings, Devourers, and Monstrous Rending Claws. He also has the Cataclysm and Psychic Scream, Psychic Abilities, and Chameleonic Skin as the relic for the army.
What's that do?
That gives him -1 to hit with shooting weapons.
Nice, very nice.
Keeps him in the sky for a bit longer.
Cool. As he's flying, yeah.
That's it.
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
So troop wise, we have 2 units of 25 Termagants, and also 2 units of 25 Hormagaunts. To keep them in check is a group of 5 warriors with the Barbed Strangler as their heavy weapon, and 16 Gene Stealers as my 6th troop choice. Fast attack, I'm rocking just 10 Gargoyles, and that's my only fast attack. And then for elites, I have the 3 Zoanthropes at the front, who are, for their psychic power, they have Cataclysm, and the Venomthropes over here, as standard, they're the tentacle bugs.
So many bugs.
So many bugs. And then last but not least, I have 2 Carnifexes. They are both equipped with 2 times Monstrous Sight and Talons, and the Spore Cysts, which give them -1 to hit.
Wow. Just so much meat coming at me, like there's barely any shooting in this army, it feels like. It's just we're just gonna fight a brutal engagement. And that brings me nicely onto the sort of, got a little bit of headcanon, a little bit of lore, a little bit of juice for you guys today, because Tyranids versus Blood Angels, it really is, it's the one, isn't it? It's just the best, like the best setup you could hope for. So we sort of set up the terrain with that in mind. So what we've got here, if you can sort of just see if I zoom out a little bit, is we have a series of hastily made trenches and embankments put together by the PDF defending this refinery and mining facility. The Tyranids are going to set up on this side of the board, try to give them a lot of terrain to both set up on and move through. So we've got the moisture farm on this flank, providing plenty of cover. We've got some kind of sheds or habs or something like that, abandoned buildings on that flank. And that brings us over to the refinery where the Blood Angels will be deploying. The PDF have been driven back from this crucial facility and the war has sort of developed because the Blood Angels have been fighting a lot recently against Tim's or Mordian Glory's Gene Stealer cult, and we've been doing really well, but nonetheless, as is usually the case in the grim dark future of the 41st millennium, it didn't matter. They may have done well, defeated the Gene Stealer cult, purged them from this system, but nonetheless the Tyranids have turned up, and war has descended and murder and chaos on this system despite the Angels' best efforts. So, this facility, for whatever reason we can consider vital, the Blood Angels are going to be setting up in it, and they're sort of arriving after the PDF have been destroyed just in time to see the Tyranids moving up using the PDF's old and hastily crafted defences for their own cover, to their own benefit, just picking through the bodies and the biomass littering the battlefield. It's an ugly planet. It's a bug planet. It's a planet hostile to all life as we know it. The Gene Stealers are here. They're swarming through the abandoned Clendathu PDF lines and advancing into the complex proper. This is a central refinery that the Imperium need to keep the war effort going in this sector and save losing the planet as a whole. So we are playing the first mission in the book. I think it's called Retrieval. So the Blood Angels are trying to retrieve their hold on the outer perimeter and take back the refinery. Meanwhile, the Tyranids are here. This is a planet rich in resources in the crust, and they want to mine it to help with their war machine so that they can take over this sector of the planet and ultimately the entire system. So we're looking at the Blood Angels. It's just a massive horde from my perspective, but it looks like we've got 25 shooty bugs here, followed by 25 stabby bugs. We then have the 2 Carnifexes hiding behind this, what we'll imagine is a sort of smoking mineral drill that's, it's obscuring terrain essentially, so it counts as obscuring, so they're hiding behind that as they advance. We've then got another unit of 25 stabby bugs. We have the, are these called zone throats?
Zone throats.
Zone throats, the brain bugs, very Starship Troopers, bringing up this flank here with a unit of, is it 12 or 16? 16 Gene Stealers behind, behind the guard, sort of the abandoned guard trenches. And then we've got another 25 stabby bugs here. We've got 25 shooty bugs bringing up the rear, blocking my deep strike, no doubt. And then we have in the centre a hell of a lot of synapse. We've got, is it 5 warriors, 6 warriors? 5 warriors. We've got tentacle bugs. We've got Big Mama here, ready to birth more bugs. And then holding the Blood Angels. Well, they're not holding the refinery building, but what I've decided to do is do a refuse flank. So if we look at the Blood Angels lines, we have the Doretto in the corner of the wall, like a gun emplacement turret. Thought that was pretty cool. Then we have 5 intercessors on the walls, manning the walls. And we've got 2 units of 5 assault intercessors, just ready to run out of the gates, start taking some ground. Best defense is an offense, as we all know. We've then got the 4 characters here, just ready to give support and advance up behind the lines as necessary. And we've got the Outriders and a block of another 5 intercessors, just both of them holding this objective and ready to, just do what they need to do to score me points. So it's looking like a pretty desperate defence. The Blood Angels are looking out, if we look from their perspective, over an absolute horde of bugs coming towards them. So we'll be with you after, well, we'll have to roll off, I guess. Let's see who gets turn 1. We'll do it on camera. So do you want to grab a dice, Lewis? And I'll grab a dice. Okay, we've both got our separate dice, just to, COVID and all that. So roll away. You've got a 4, and I've got a 1. So would you like to go first, or would you like to give me the first turn?
I think I'm going to go first.
You're going to go first. Okay, so we'll be with you after Tyranid, turn 1. They're coming right at us. So in terms of secondaries, Lewis has got 3 really strong secondaries to choose from in this battle. So he's gone for raise the banners high so he can take control, represent the bugs taking control of the refinery as they advance through the wind farm and through the drill into the walls, the defensive position. We've got Psychic Ritual, so you can try and max that for a 15 points, all or nothing. Going for that big gamble there, but it's not a gamble at all if you've got this many psychic creatures. You can almost guarantee maxing 15 on that, so really effective selection. And then finally, What did you go for as your final selection, Lewis?
The quarters table.
Oh yes, of course. Engage on all fronts with this many bugs. It should be very easy to both hold his starting quarters, hold the guard trenches, the old abandoned PDF trenches, and advance into my table quarter quite easily. Now, the Blood Angels have gone for... It was a little more difficult because it's just really hard to take objective holding secondaries when you've got this many bugs or this amount of enemies to cleave your way through. So the obvious first choice was thin their ranks. I think Lewis has 26, 146, don't know why I said 26 there, maths. 146, that's the propaganda. There were mere 26, don't worry, get in there, you'll be fine. Barely any nids are there, just you'll sweep them aside, and then the Blood Angels have turned up and realise the sector commander missed out the 120. So wishful thinking there from me, but he's got 146 bugs, and a couple of them have more than 10 wounds. Should be able to get a comfortable amount of points on that. Every kill is valuable, just makes my life easier. So that's my first choice. And finally, I believe I went for also engage on all fronts. To just, hopefully I can at least, with some deep strike shenanigans and get in the back, attack Lewis from behind, hopefully I can engage on at least 3 quarters. Maybe not max it. Blood Angels are going to try and get a solid score on all secondaries, solid score on the primaries, and just go all the way through and hopefully hold off the swarm as we go for it. So we'll be with you after Tyranids, turn 1. These bugs seem to have a plan, but surely not. Surely they're mindless. That's what the Imperial propaganda says. I'm not sure if propaganda is the word the Blood Angels would use. They'd call it informative, factual information. But either way, the Broodlord advanced up here. The rest of the army, because he's high fleet, what is it, Kraken? So he can roll 3 dice and pick the highest on his advances. So he just swarmed up the board, and with a couple of his units, with the stabby guys, the Hormagaunts here, he raised 1 banner. With the, is it Termagaunts? Or the shooty ones?
Yeah.
He raised another banner here, moving across from back here. And then with the other Termagaunts, he just moved, advanced and raised a banner there. So not much shooting, but the Tyranids are a lot of short range assault weapons and a lot of close combat ability. So he's really, really swarming up on the Blood Angels lines. They're very, very close. They've totally taken control of the moisture farm here, just taking cover amongst the different moisture catchers. Over here, swarming less further forward on the left flank, the Tyranids drawn directly towards the Blood Angels units themselves. So the Lewis's right flank swinking round, and more stabby guys, more Hormagaunts just taking control of the central tower. And then he's got a couple of things just hid. He's got his big mama. What's she called again?
Tervagon.
A Termagon.
Tervagon.
Yeah. Hiding behind the obscuring terrain. These guys give -1 in a bubble of, is it 6 inches? So a lot of -1 to hit, carried up the board. And then in terms of other sidekick, not only did he get off the psychic ritual over here, he got off Feel No Pain on the Gene Stealers, but then Mephiston managed to stop a smite against these Primaris holding the line on the wall, and then he also fired finally a big shot from the warriors, 36 inches over on these guys, but unfortunately only managed to do 1 wound. I did fail my Feel No Pain. So 1 wound done to the Blood Angels lines. They're holding steady, waiting for reinforcements, but the best defense is an offense, as I've said many times. So will the Assault Marines charge into glorious combat to try and retake the moisture farm? So the Blood Angels forward assault units burst forth from the walls and moved through the moisture farms, ready to attack the running Tyranids, the swarm, making their way towards, through the outer parts of the refinery. The Outriders likewise moved up just in front of the main mining unit, ready to make an assault on the swarm of 25 stabby Hormagaunts that were inside the obscuring terrain. Lamarty's moved up to join them. Apart from that, the rest of the characters were quite conservative. Mephiston couldn't quite, he was just over 18 inches from any characters, so he couldn't start mentally investigating, finding out what these damn bugs are up to, but he did manage to give himself fly and give my assault intercessors +1 attack, so we're rolling like we're on turn 3, baby. Not the extra AP -1, but of course the extra attacks with Blood Angels, which is nice. So then we amassed shooting, and this guy could see round the obscuring terrain just to here, which was where your, what are they called again?
Carnifex?
No, the throats. The throats
Zone
that are...
throats.
Not zone throats.
Venom throats.
Venom throats. That give units within 6 inches -1 to hit. It's -1 for me to hit them. But the Dorado, 8 shots, hitting on 2s, and then re-rolling 1s because I spent a command point, and then wounding on 2s because he's strength 8 with his autocannon, and their toughness 4. He just managed to dice through them. I think he got all 8 hits and all 8 wounds, just wrecked them. AP -2 in the first turn because it's a heavy doctrine. His missiles, Antilus missile pod, and his heavy bolter went into the Gene Stealers. I think he managed to kill like a good couple.
8 got killed.
8 got killed in total. After that, from just scattered fire, these guys fired off 10 shots. The bikers decided to put damage into them, just trying to trim those Gene Stealers down because I know they are the counter assault from the hive mind, so I had to just like reduce them down as much as possible. But I think 8 dead, 8 still left. That's probably not going to be enough. That he's probably going to easily tear through my assault marines, but these guys were a kind of forlorn assault, just going forward to cut down the enemy lines and thin him out before he gets too close. I also, in the shooting phase, I should have mentioned, the Eradicators did really well and managed to put 4 wounds through one of the Carnifexes and just turned him to slag. I didn't even have to roll the last 2 wounds, the first 2. They moved up, so they were just in the cover, but just within 12 inches. So they could shoot out the Carnifex and just totally wrecked him. Killed that bug. And then a few of the characters had also thrown grenades and bits and bobs into the Hormagaunts that were here before they got wiped out by the Outriders and Lamarty's, killing all 25. The Assault Marines in the assault phase likewise did really well, and they managed to kill off, I think, a total of 18 Hormagaunts, stabby bugs. Because of all the buffs, they had reroll 1s to hit and reroll 1s to wound because of the captain just within 6 inches. These characters just here, and just really popped off and massacred the front line of bugs. But they are exposed. With the Carnifex looking at them, these Outriders are exposed as well. But I'm just trying to block my characters off with these front 2 squads. Keep the rest of my characters within 3 inches of a couple of squads. Just try and play sensibly. I'm playing on the wire. The Blood Angels are, they're making they're balancing their assault on a knife edge, their counter assault against the bug forces. But yeah, all in all, a couple of other things to mention was this squad here. I decided not to put them in the running for the charge, and I just moved them up so they stayed within 3 inches of that objective, and then they raised a banner on it. So they moved and advanced. I think they got a 5 on their advance, so it was a total of 12 inches they moved. And these guys, they didn't decline to shoot with these guys, and they just moved up so they're fully in the cover and stayed within 3 inches of this objective and raised a banner there as well. So I've got 2 banners up. The Tyranids have got 3, bio banners, bio spines rising out of the earth. And it's becoming a meaty and murderous, bloody engagement. The Blood Angels have taken the initiative and massacred, around 40-50 bugs in total, but between 40 and 50 bugs, but there's plenty more where that came from. So would you like to know more? Stay with us until Tyranids turn 2. The Tyranids had a phenomenal second turn. The Gene Stealers were starting to get a glimpse into the bug mind here. Maybe their plans are coming visible. Mephiston's got a funny feeling about this as he watched the Gene Stealers flank around. They got a massive advance, and they can advance and charge, and they went straight towards the Eradicators. They're about, I think, a 6 inch, 7 inch charge away. These choppy bugs, the Termagaunts, or Hormagaunts, pulled out, and then because of High Fleet Kraken, they can pull out and charge as well as that 3d6 on the advance. So that was good. So they pulled out and then prepared to re-engage around the side, just dancing around the skirmish in the moisture farm. The Termagants, with who are the shooty ones, also advanced up. They poured fire into the bikers, but it all bounced off. Well, I think they poured it into these guys and actually killed one, into the assault intercessors, and then made ready to swarm. The bikes took fire from a couple of different, from the warriors, I think, and from, the warriors killed another assault intercessor, taking them down to 3 men, and they did a wound on one guy, and then other shots went into the bikes, but the bikes just, everything bounced off them. Then in the assault, and over here, shock horror, a Hive Tyrant landed 9 inches deep inside these, oops, am I going to hit by the bots for that? Inside the lines here. He just landed here. He was 9 inches away from my intercessors. He shot into them and actually did really good with the shooting. I failed a plethora, got loads of ones. He killed 4 of them off. And then, he got a psychic blast on them. It was mortal wounds, that was it. He dropped in, psychic screamed them, he smited them. He managed to kill 4 off and leave 1 on 1 wound. He shot, but that all bounced off. And then ultimately he ended up charging in, taking me off this objective. Over here, I interrupted and I split my squad. So 2 went, 1 guy fought against the Hormagaunts with the stabby arms, and the sergeant and another guy fought against the Termagants, or vice versa, because who even knows which gaunts are which at this point. They're all bugs to me, but basically we managed to kill off a good 12 or 13 in the interrupt, and that actually kept them alive. The bugs only managed to drag down 1 in return, so that's safe, because that was 25 bugs coming in. Now it's more like 15 or even less. Not as many died of the Hormagaunts, but nonetheless, the Space Marine Assault Intercessors, the Blood Angels, managed to prevent themselves from being dragged down right before their comrades' eyes. So vicious fighting there. The Carnifex charged into the bikes and just ripped 2 of them to pieces, but left 1 on full wounds. Flat 3 damage, very tasty, always nice. I think that was basically it, wasn't it? You had to spend 2 CP to fight twice, 3 CP to fight twice with these guys to finish off the Eradicators. But yeah, that is the Eradicators dead. So all in all, and these guys are threatening my backfield. So the Blood Angels fort, or the Imperial refinery walls, have been fully engaged by the Tyranids from the front and the back, and also there's a serious fight going on in the moisture farm. Not much going over on the Blood Angels' left flank, but if we look at it from the Tyranids' perspective, you can really see the swarm of bugs with the warriors holding up. Now, it's not just pure mindless, vicious chitin and claws from the sounds of things. This hive mind has more cunning than Imperial propaganda has led my commanders to believe, because not only did the bugs start on 3 objectives to my 2, which scored them 15 points, but they've also successfully deep struck onto this objective with the gargoyles. It's just like the movie with the flying bugs like swarming the walls. So he's taken that objective. The Hive Tyrant's taken that objective. The Gene Stealers, it's 3 models versus 2. We both, the way the rules work in 9th is we both have objectives secured essentially, so it's just down to number of models. So Mephiston does technically count in that count, but it is 3 versus 2 sadly, so he's taken me off that objective. So I'm starting with none. I'll get no primaries in my second turn, and all in all he's also got 3 points from his initial banners, raising the banners here, and on this objective here where the brain bugs are just keeping synapse together for the bugs, and you also got
rose banners as well.
Yeah, and these guys actually deep struck down here and then decided not to shoot, but rose a banner, taking control of the walls. So essentially, Tyranids fully control the battlefield. There are 4 banners raised in total, and the Blood Angels are looking very desperate. But what's that? Is that a storm raven in the sky? Can you hear the crackle of displacing air as the teleportariums burst into action? That's right, it's time for Terminators and possibly Sanguinary Guard and Death Company as well. So would you like to know more? Stay tuned until the end of Blood Angels turn 2. Mephiston's looking angry. So a mixed bag for the Blood Angels, but they have had some significant success and some significant wet noodle moments there. So in their second turn, they started off these two units, the Duredo and the Intercessors, defending the wall of the refinery. They were looking down on some gene stealers, so they just decided to remain stationary. Mistake on my part, I definitely should have just moved them down and round towards that objective. That was a bad move on my part, but they just look so cool holding the defence of the wall, so there they stay. The Sanguinary Guard, obviously at the end of the turn, deep struck down just onto here, 9 inches away from the Hive Tyrant, is he called? Yeah. And also able to obviously strafe into the Gargoyles holding this objective. Then the the Assault Intercessors, who were holding this objective last turn but failed to hold it, they ran forward, and again I didn't hold this objective because I thought I just need to throw loads of attacks into this Carnifex to finish him off, as you can see, he's still there. But the 5-man squad charged towards that, decided to forsake this objective, secure the battlefield, do some real damage to the Tyranids, and then start racking up the points in the last 3 turns. Was sort of my thought process. So then also I brought every single support guy because I thought I need the DACA, even from the Death Company. I thought, I can only 3d6 one unit. Normally I'd bring the Death Company in one and the Sang Guard another turn, so they can both benefit from 3d6 charge, but I thought, never mind, I'll just bring these guys onto this embankment where they at least have cover, and then they shot up into these guys, and so did the cannon on here, and with that combined fire they managed to kill one of the, what are they called? Zone Thropes. They managed to kill one off. Then the DACA from these guys went into the Warriors. However, the Warriors already had trouble on their hands because Mephiston in the psychic phase had managed to get to like 1 inch away from them, and he failed to get off his D3 extra attacks, quickening psychic power, but he did wings up to them. The Captain and the Sang Ancient both went towards the Patriarch. Is it Patriarch?
No, it's a Broodlord.
Broodlord, sorry. Ready for the assassination attempt. Not for points, but to stop Lewis, because he got 2 casts off with his psychic ritual. Mephiston obviously sensed something and warned the Captain and the Sanguinary Ancient, and they did the job. So I killed him off with 2 casts done, so that sets him back to square one on that secondary, which is good to, because Lewis is really getting ahead of me on points, so I need to stop him in his tracks with that secondary at least. Then, other shooting, the bike fired a pistol, these guys, these 2 intercessors have been in combat for a couple of turns, they fired pistols. The Duredo strafed 8 shots into them. I spent a CP to have reroll 1s within 6 inches of him on with something, Honour the Ancients or whatever it is. And these guys, these guys dackered into the Gene Stealers with his rockets and heavy bolter and finished off the Gene Stealers. But then Lewis passed all his saves with his Hive Tyrant. He took no wounds from shooting. The Sanguinary Guard has spent more CP for Explosive Judgment, but Lewis again got really lucky. I just couldn't stop rolling 1s and 2s, and only 4 of the Gargoyles were killed, and they're still within Synapse range. So then we got on to, that was most of the shooting. These guys chucked a couple of grenades and actually managed to do 2 wounds to the Broodlord with their grenades, because they were up close because of their jetpacks. They're only 4 inches away. So that was good, so he was only on 1 wound. So I charged him in, charged the Captain in. The Captain tied these guys up. The Broodlord was killed. These guys attacked the Captain but did no damage. Lewis interrupted at one point after heroically intervening with Big Mama, the Tervagant, and attacked but failed to do any wounds to Mephiston. Mephiston then in response, ignored the big mama and just hacked 4 of the warriors to death. He had no buffs apart from his move, but just base attacks from Mephiston and just hacked 4 warriors to death, did the job. And then essentially over here, this scrap just continued with many more of the basic bugs just getting hacked apart by chainswords. The bugs in return tried to drag the last 2 of each squad down, but couldn't manage. However, the Khan effects with a big wallop managed to kill 3 of the assault intercessors that had charged into him. Maybe the assault intercessors, they've had ridiculous success. They've constantly been charging into tougher and tougher stuff over many battles, but finally they've bitten off more than they can chew, and 3 of them were murdered for very little damage in return. I think he took 2 wounds in total. The Sanguinary Guard I actually struck with first, but I'm telling you about them last. Tragedy, oh tragedy. In the footsteps of Sanguinius, these guys, I actually gave them the 3d6 charge and struck with them first into the Hive Tyrant. Now they are in this table quarter. I stayed over this table quarter so that they do help me get engaged on all fronts. But they struck all their axes, all their swords. I only managed to do 2 wounds to the Hive Tyrant. Now he struck back. I spent CP to make them harder to hit because of the death masks, and so ultimately he only managed to kill 1 of the Sanguinary Guard combined with their 2-up armor save. He had AP -3 though, so it was good work on the past one, failed one. He's only got 4 attacks, this guy, because he's not suited up for mega combat. So I am holding that objective with 3, possibly 4 models to 1, but neither of us have objective secured, and it's really unfortunate. I really wanted to kill this guy off and secure my back lines, but I haven't managed to. And Lamarty's also in his turn to fight. He hacked maybe 5 or 6 of the bugs to death. I think it was 5 bugs to death. So the Death Company tried to chance it with their charge on these guys, but they just didn't make it in. And the Termes, by the time they'd finished their shooting, they were a 12-inch charge away from, because they'd killed one of the Mephi must have only killed 3, and he did 2 wounds to 1 of them. That's it, because these guys shot 1 to death, but that put them out of combat. But these guys are holding this table quarter. Mephiston is over the line here from his wings and charge in this table quarter. These guys are, but I think they're too close to the centre by 6 inch for the 6 inch. And then I've got this table quarter held, and I also have this table quarter held, so we are getting 3 points for engaging all fronts in our second turn. But we didn't start with any objectives thanks to the Tyranids' Hive Mind Cunning, so that's only 3 for engaging all fronts. I've not raised any banners, but I have killed a hell of a lot of bugs, and we'll be counting that up at the end of the game just to see what my points are for thin their ranks. It's, I think, 21 points the Tyranids are on to 3. So the Tyranids are in the lead, but they have taken an absolute beating this turn from the Blood Angels, even with some bad luck on the Blood Angels' part. Just that brutal combat has done what we need to do, and we've cut off one of his secondaries at the head, stopping that psychic ritual in its tracks. So we'll see what happens with Tyranids turn 3. So another high scoring turn for the Tyranids in their turn 3, but the Blood Angels characters being in combat has done heavy losses across the bug lines. The bug hunt is on, and the leaders of the Blood Angels force are competing for the most kills, it seems. So the Tyranids pulled out across the board with absolutely every unit, because they can pull out and charge back in. It did restrict on their shooting. He couldn't shoot with these guys because they had been tied up, but their shooting isn't that great anyway, and he charged back in. So he basically pulled out with everyone. He charged, he psychicked with what are they called?
Zone Throat.
I keep forgetting their names. Zone Throat. And he smited into the Death Company, but Mephiston protected them with a deny. But then he successfully smited and psychic screamed the Sanguinary Guard, killing 3 of them in total. The shooting phase was quite minor, nothing from this guy over here because he pulled out ready to charge back in. Yeah, just minor shooting, just a few plinks and this, that and the other, but very little to be said for the Tyranid shooting. The gargoyles could shoot, and they did shoot from this objective towards the sanguinary guard over there, but unfortunately, fortunately for the Blood Angels, the sanguinary guard deflected. Then the charge came, he charged back in having pulled out, and he managed to kill a sanguinary guard over here. I got very lucky. That fight continues, this glorious fight for the base over that objective, so they're contesting over there 1v1 now. That's not good for me. Over here, these guys charged into the two characters, or into just the captain, but I heroically intervened, and the characters killed 10 between them, 10 of the little bugs, and the captain took 1 wound in return. The Big Mama struck into Mephiston, as did the warrior, but Mephiston just saved everything due to armour and feel no pains. He just managed to pull through and save everything.
2 wounds.
Did he take 2 wounds?
5 feel no pains, 3 made.
Oh yeah, sorry. He made 3 feel no pains and took 2 wounds. Nice, Mephiston. He then struck back into Big Mama and did, I think it was 12 wounds, and one attack into the warrior finished it off because it's a troop choice. So I wanted to get rid of that objective secured. So this Big Mama's left on 1 wound and greatly reduced. This objective is still secured by the bugs, but the unit of 25 is vastly cut down at this point. The gargoyles still hold this section of wall, so it seems like the Blood Angels have advanced out of the refinery and have been hit in the rear by a surprise attack from the flying Nids. And there's not much left here trying to take back the base. Just 2 lowly squads. This skirmish next to the moisture farms continues in a bloody battle. Ultimately, the biker remains on 1 wound. The Carnifex is now on 7 wounds. He's taken 7 wounds. He's got 1 wound remaining. And the smaller bugs were cleared out by Lamartes and the Assault Intercessors. So that's 2 troop squads ready to span out and do some work now that the bugs have been cleared. So we're on to Blood Angels turn 3 now. We went second, so we'll see what we can do to start climbing back in points. The Tyranids are currently on 41 to R3, but that doesn't mean we can't start wrecking. So going to turn 3, we do only hold, I think, a couple of objectives. Do we even hold an objective? We're out of range of that one. You've contested over here. You've got this objective, you've got this objective. Mephiston, oh, you're out of range on that one. So Mephiston does hold that objective, and you've managed to continue to hold that objective with your zone throats. So that is just 5 primary points for the Blood Angels. Let's see if we can rack up those secondaries and kill enough Tyranids that we can dominate on the primaries for the last couple of turns of the game. Swing it in our favour. Okay, let's see what we can do for Sanguinius turn 3, and as we all know, that means rock and roll time. So Blood Angels turn 3, we said it was going to be killing time, and killing time it certainly was. So Mephiston stayed in combat, the Captain and the Sanguinary Ancient stayed in combat, and Lamartes hopped over, abandoning the Death Company. He's really not helped them at all this game. And the Outrider ended up getting a long charge, that's why he's there. He got 9 inches to get into the beasties as well. Just try and kill them off that objective as quickly as possible. These guys hopped down 3, advanced 3 and raised a banner on that objective. This guy actually shot the Carnifex. So he stayed in combat and shot it with his pistol, actually did its last wound, killed it off, which was great. The final Sanguinary Guard actually pulled 12 inches out just to secure this corner for engage on all fronts. And then the Doredo turned his guns just entirely onto the Hive Tyrant. Now he was in cover, but nonetheless with all the firepower, the Doredo actually did really well. Got 8 wounds through, and then Lewis did really unluckily on his saves, and then he only had like 2 wounds left, and the heavy bolters finished him off. These guys they didn't need to shoot, and they'd raised a banner anyway, so that was a good call. These guys remain on this objective. The Gargoyles just holding that objective, just racking up those points for Lewis. The Captain struck first. Now he had 7 attacks. and he hit with 7, wounded with 7. Had to use a couple of rerolls, but he got there. And that actually just wiped out. He piled in 3, wiped him out, wiped 7 out. Oh, I struck with something else first, didn't I? I can't remember what it was. The Tervagant had Psychic Backlash, and you used it to actually kill off 3, because you got 3 dead, didn't you, or something like that? Yeah. And you killed me, so I was like 3 inches away. So only the captain had range to pile in, and there was 7 left. But he had 7 attacks, got 7 hits, 7 wounds, killed all 7, and then consolidated slightly towards the gargoyles at like a 1 degree angle, and almost 3 inches directly towards that objective, and just managed to make himself half an inch into that objective boundary. So the captain had taken that objective off the troops. Absolutely, actually incredible. I thought that the characters would be tar pitted, but just piling in together, they just got there in the end with a little help from the Tervagant having a psychic explosion. Obviously Mephiston killed the Tervagant. He tried to smite it, failed. The big news was that guy dying though, and when all the dust had settled, I actually hadn't noticed. But essentially, because I was so focused in on move this guy to this quarter, move this guy to this quarter, have this guy in this quarter, so on and so forth, I didn't really notice that when all the combat was over, the only bugs remaining standing are these gargoyles out of synapse range and totally unaccompanied. The Blood Angels characters have just ripped through the back lines here, and the Death Company and 2 Assault Marines from this combat previously just managed to go in and kill off the final brain bugs, and obviously we'll harvest their brains for information. So it's absolutely mad, but after turn 3 it's basically a table. We've just got the gargoyles left, so we've counted up the points for what it would be. We've said that these guys would start, so Lewis would get an extra 5 points. That would put him on a total of 35 primaries. I would then get 2 full turns of scoring 15, so that would give me plus 30 at the end of the game. So in total, we both get 35 for primaries. Then after that, engaging all fronts, Lewis, he actually only managed to rack up 5 points in total there. That seems wrong. I feel like we've missed something there, but just because of where the killing has been taking place and where his models haven't been in quarters, or they've been too close to the middle or whatever, just because of the fighting over here. So it's just been tricky, and he's only got 5 points on that. His Psychic Ritual actually failed because he abandoned it once the Broodlord died. Broodlord?
Broodlord.
And then his Raise the Banner actually did really well. He got 9 points in total for that. But the Blood Angels, we only had, technically, at the end of the game, 8 plus the Thin the Ranks, which we got a full 15 on. So at the end of the game, at the end of turn 3, we only technically had 8 plus 15, 23 points. But then because I get to score for the final 2 turns, because it's 9th edition, I just get an extra 30 for primaries, because I'll have more secondaries, more primary objectives than him for 2 turns, turn 4 and 5. We estimated these guys would raise a banner on Mephiston in turn 4 and 5. I'd get a banner on here, turn 4 and 5, and I've got a banner over there, so I'll get me another 9 points. Possibly even more if we weren't being lazy. And then, so that actually equates to, with the pointing score, a final matchup of 59 points for the Tyranids. A good solid score, but it's 74 to the Blood Angels if they get those primaries turn 4 and 5. So it's the Blood Angels, they've just burst through the Tyranid ranks and just managed to cleave apart and reclaim the refinery. So this sector seems secured, but I'm sure we'll have more Genestealer Cult and Tyranid battles coming up, and Blood Angels and the Mordian rifles coming up on the 2 channels very soon. So thank you very much, Lewis, for bringing the Nids today. It's been absolutely fantastic, epic cinematic battle.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you guys for watching back home. I hope you found this video interesting, entertaining and exciting. So thank you very much for your time. This has been the Schola Progenium. Goodbye.